Welcome back, everybody. Hi, Ben. Hey, 5'9". Hey, David is not in yet. And we're back. Welcome to the live stream. I am your Kevinly father, Kevin Williams, and we will be covering the remainder of the Trump tirade that we were covering earlier. It went on so long that I had to stop and take care of the real world, and now we're back. So let's get right back into it. Hi, Larry. Good to see you. Hi, Ruth Ann. Good to see you. This speech goes on so long, I have multiple drinks prepared. The drinking word, and you're gonna get hammered. Here's what I want you to do. I want you to call all your friends and family, anybody who might need you over the next 36 hours, and let them know you're going to be unavailable, because the drinking word tonight is Biden. Anytime you hear the word Biden, cheers. Hi, Kim. Hi, Dr. Howard. Let's get right back into it. When we left off, the president was going nuts.
Carbon from the United States economy. Let him define the word carbon, because he won't be able to. Obliterating America.
We missed the beginning of that sentence, but he's saying that Biden wouldn't be able to define the word carbon. Yeah, you do whatever you need to say. Hi, Danielle. Good to see you. Allison, I've said Ben already. Let's go on.
American oil.
Oh, hey, I should start. If you're just joining us, if you missed the first half of the broadcast, you are welcome. Thank you for watching. If you'd like to get into the chat room over there, you can't chat by tapping that window, but you can tap on whatever app you're watching. And one of those ways is on YouTube. Go to youtube.com/KevinlyFather. That's youtube.com/KevinlyFather. And you can join us there for chat. That is the fastest chat, but you can also chat on Twitter or Twitch or whatever platform you happen to be watching this on. If you're watching this delayed, on Facebook, you can actually leave comments for some reason, even though you're not live. So anyway, yeah, carbon is carbon. That just fact-checked you, Dr. Howard. That is absolutely correct. And let me just update the crawl, because I made a special one for this one, and this comment is coming up as well. So I've already listened to about half of this, and we'll get the rest later as it comes up. Okay, let's see if that works, and we are all good to go. If you'd like to support this sort of nonsense, please go to kevinlyfather.com. There you can become a patron, or if you want to make just a one-time donation to the cause, paypal.me/kevinlydad. That's it. If you'd like to buy this shirt, this is what it looks like. In prison, no one can hear you tweet. That is done by my good friend, Mr. Patrick Bennett. You can catch that anywhere online just by typing into the Google, "In prison, nobody can hear you tweet" t-shirt, and it'll take you to Teespring. And Teespring has the goods if you want to buy this t-shirt and support my friend, Patrick Bennett. Okay, 5'9", Danielle, Lizzie, Bev is here. Hi, Bev. Yes, I can put you back in the credits, Bev. Are you gone from the credits? Shoot me a DM or an email or however you want to get in touch with me to remind me to do that, and I will do that. So I apologize. Today's broadcast is brought to you by Bev Klein.
Clean coal, natural gas, and the natural energy resources that supply countless American jobs.
Supply.
Joe Biden put AOC.
We actually have a metrics. BLS keeps track of a metrics that tells you exactly how many jobs the energy sector creates. It's not countless. There's a number.
A young woman, not talented in many ways, in charge of his energy plan and the environment, essentially. Her and Bernie Sanders, who ran a lot of times for president, never made it. Good base, but that's about it. In other words, he wants to impose the Green New Deal on our country. When I first saw the Green New Deal, I thought it was a joke. I said, this will never go anywhere. Now they're trying to impose it. This will destroy our country and make us non-competitive with other countries. Don't forget, we're in competition with China and with many other countries throughout the world. We're in tremendous economic competition, including Europe, which has never treated us well. The European Union was formed in order to take advantage of the United States. They formed,
was not.
and they take advantage of the United States.
That's not why the European Union
And
formed.
I know that. They know I know that. but other
don't
presidents
know
had no
they
idea.
Suspect you
Last
think
week,
that
Joe
because
Biden
you've
released
said it
his
out loud several
unity
times.
platform developed with socialist Bernie Sanders, describing what he would do if elected president. The Biden-Sanders agenda is the most extreme platform of any major party nominee by far in American history. I think it's worse than actually Bernie's platform. It's gone so far right. And he's doing that because he's begging for that vote.
The Biden platform has gone so far right. The radical left has gone so far right. It must be stopped. Is that our right or his right? Is he right? Ever?
But one of the things I just asked my people to do is just draw up for me, just quickly, some of the things that we've been hearing about over the last...
This is going to be good because it's his people.
Couple of weeks. And these are actual key elements of the Biden-Sanders unity platform.
You're wrong. They're not actual
Abolish immigration detention. No more detention. You come in here illegally, no more detention. Stop all deportations. So if we get a MS-13 gang member, which we've taken out of our country by the thousands, brought them back to Honduras, Guatemala, can't do that anymore. El Salvador. Can't do that anymore. Stop all deportations. In other words, we'll take all of these people, many of whom are in prison.
By the way, I haven't fact-checked all of these because I listened to 2 or 3 of them and thought, well, this is mostly nonsense. So it's Trump. If anybody has fact-checked them, feel free to pipe in.
For rape, murder, lots of other things. And prosecution of illegal border crossers. Oh, okay, they come in illegally and we have to stop the whole process. Support the deadly sanctuary cities where many of these people are protected better than the American citizen is protected.
No, they have the same rights as the American citizens in certain ways, but it's a broad brush that he's painting this with. And the Supreme Court just decided last week or 2 weeks ago, Trump, you can't do anything about the sanctuary cities. It's states and the cities. They get to decide that.
Incentivize illegal alien child smuggling. Give it an incentive. Because if you look at what they're saying, that's exactly what they do.
I haven't fact-checked it, but I am 99.9% positive that the Biden platform does not say incentivize the child slavery trafficking process. I'm really sure on this, guys.
Incentivize illegal alien child smuggling. They're incentivized by what this plan calls for. Expand asylum for all new illegal aliens. How about that one? All new illegal aliens. Expand asylum.
Not true.
Cancel all asylum cooperation agreements in the Western Hemisphere. Well, we have agreements with Honduras, Guatemala.
The Hatch Act doesn't apply to the president.
With El Salvador. We have great agreements where when Biden and Obama used to bring killers out, they would say, don't bring them back to our country. We don't want them. Well, we have to. We don't want them. They wouldn't take them. Now with us, they take them. Someday I'll tell you why.
Really?
Someday I'll tell you why.
What day?
But they take them and they...
In 2 weeks? Because 4 weeks ago, he promised that there was going to be another stimulus check to all of us in a couple of weeks. That was June 22nd. It is now July 14th. Happy birthday, Kevin Lee brother, if you're watching. Happy birthday. Everybody say happy birthday to Kevin Lee brother if you get a chance.
Take them very gladly. They used to bring them out and they wouldn't even let the airplanes land if they brought them back by airplanes. They wouldn't let the buses into their country. They said, we don't want them.
We said buses?
I said, no, but they entered our country illegally and they're murderers. They're killers in some cases. And they said, nope, we don't want them. They'd turn the bus around, they'd turn the plane around, then they'd land in the United States, and who knows what happened to them. But it wasn't good.
Good.
Taxpayer-funded lawyers will be given to all illegal aliens. So we're going to pay now for the lawyers' lobby, and we're going to give all illegal aliens taxpayer-funded lawyers. How does that sound? Pretty good? In other words, come in here illegally, we're going to give you free legal advice. We'll take you up to the Supreme Court as much as possible. Abolish immigration enforcement against illegal workers. Think of that. Abolish immigration enforcement. They're going to abolish immigration enforcement.
I'm sure it does
Well,
not say that.
basically, as you know, what they're going to do is they're going to rip down the wall. They're taking it down. They want to take down the wall, which we fought hard for.
Thanks,
We're up
guys.
to 259 miles right now of great, powerful wall.
Hey, Stephanie.
That's really working, because if you look at the numbers, in addition to the
Joe.
fact that Mexico, for various reasons, has 27,000 soldiers on our southern border to keep people out of our country. And I appreciate it. We had a great meeting last week with
They don't have
the president
27,000
of
on our
Mexico,
border.
great guy. Friend of mine, become a friend of mine. A lot of people thought that couldn't happen because we're very opposite in terms of our views, maybe even in terms of our temperament. But he's a great guy, and he's a friend of mine, and they've been terrific. Mexico has been terrific. 27,000 soldiers on our border, Mexican soldiers.
Wait for it, Bev.
And we have great, great numbers. We get rid of so many different things.
Bev Klein, ladies and
Catch and
gentlemen.
release is gone. So many different things have taken place. We used to catch
Hey,
them,
Chris.
take their name, and release them into our country. We don't do that anymore. We now release them back where they came from. Sometimes we'll bring them back to their country. Grant work permits for illegal aliens. So if you come in illegally, you get a work permit. People that live here don't get work permits, in many cases. Provide taxpayer.
If you're here legally, you don't need a work permit. And that's I don't have it. Maybe that's why I'm unemployed. I don't have a work permit.
Subsidies and welfare for illegal aliens and new immigrants. So we want to provide taxpayer subsidies and welfare for people that come into our country illegally, illegal immigrants.
Illegally.
They want government health care for all illegal aliens.
Everybody.
This is part of their plan. I'm not making this up. This
Hey,
is all
universal
down in
healthcare.
their plan from last week.
Well, you're making a lot of it up, but
And this is good compared to what I heard today.
oh yeah?
Federal student aid and free community college for illegal aliens. What do you think about that? Federal student aid and free community college.
That is absolutely true. David, just fact check this on behalf of Snopes. You do need a work permit to buy groceries, but you don't need a work permit to vote. That has to change.
We're going to have every person in the world pouring into our country from all over the world.
No.
And by the way, the wall
No.
was so timely because it
Timely.
stopped people coming in from heavily infected areas of Mexico.
No one's coming here because we're the epicenter.
If we had that, we would be in trouble like you wouldn't believe. You wouldn't believe. And remember,
Had
cases
what?
is different. Timely. Because it stopped people coming in from heavily infected areas of Mexico. If we had that, we would be in trouble like you wouldn't believe.
We would have heavily infected areas close to the border? Is it? What year is it?
You wouldn't believe. And remember, cases is different than deaths. And cases we give you because our testing is the best in the world.
Cases
and by
we
the way,
give
by
you.
far the most.
People
45
of
million.
America,
Find out
I give
which
you
country
cases.
tested 45 million people. If China, if Russia, if India tested
China's tested at least 90 million people.
45 million people,
Yeah.
or if they did tests like we did, check out how many cases they'd have. But it's still, we've done a great job, get no credit for it, and I don't want the credit. I want the people that have done this great job.
So he wants us to check out how many cases a country would have if they did X number of tests. Where would we check that exactly? David, you would know. Where would we check out a hypothetical number from a hypothetical number that is There's websites for that, I'm sure.
The people that have done such an incredible job on building the ventilators and doing the testing and building a testing platform that's been amazing. We have many platforms, many companies.
Hey, dollar. Thanks for chatting. When you chat, I get paid. So I appreciate that. Thank you for the money.
Have come up with different forms of tests. When we started, there was no such thing. Sign News job. The people that have done such an incredible job on building the ventilators and doing the testing and building a testing platform that's been amazing. We have many platforms. Many companies have come up with different forms of tests. When we started, there was no such thing.
So before the coronavirus, there was no test for the coronavirus. Someone should give them credit for that.
Sign new immigrants up for welfare immediately. This is Joe Biden. So they walk off and they come in and they put a foot into our land and we sign up new immigrants up for welfare. We sign them up immediately. They get welfare benefits. United States citizens don't get what they're looking to give illegal immigrants. Think of that. Sign up.
United States citizens do get welfare. It's
hard to believe I'm even reading that.
It is hard to believe that you're reading that.
For welfare.
Because it's not true.
Immediately. Not to mention the cost of this.
Which he's about to mention, because he just meant the stupidest expression.
Which is incalculable. The cost of this is so crazy.
We know every
End
dollar.
requirement for immigrant self-sufficiency and maximize their welfare. Now, this is us writing this. Who's not coming to the United States? Every person from South America is going to pour in. Every person from other countries, they're going to be pouring in. End requirement, think of that, for immigrant self-sufficiency. And
that was just put in about a year ago, and yet somehow there's still people in South America. Well, this is way beyond me.
Remember to maximize welfare, so we give it a maximum. Then we have massively expand immigration during a global pandemic, taking jobs from unemployed Americans. End all travel bans, including from jihadist regions. So now we have travel bans.
Yeah.
A lot of you said I didn't get the travel ban, and you were wrong. We got the travel ban. We lost in the Ninth Circuit. We lost again in the Ninth Circuit, and then we won in the Supreme Court. We have a very strong travel ban. And we don't want people that are going to come in and blow up our cities, do things. And frankly, with the liberal Democrats running the cities that we do have where they...
That's it? That's the one example he can think of terrorism? Blow up our city or do things? I do things all the time. Am I a terrorist?
Do have problems. Maybe they wouldn't mind, but I would mind, and the people of this country mind. So listen to this. End all travel bans.
Yeah.
He's talking about the ban that I won, that everybody said I didn't win. They said I didn't win because in the lower court we lost, that we lost in the appellate division, and then we won in the Supreme Court.
Does he realize that he just said this 20 seconds ago?
So he said he lost, and they're right at the lower level. But in the meantime, we won in the Supreme Court. So it's in effect, but they didn't say that. They said he lost, which again is fake news, but that's the way they do it.
Who said
so
that?
end all travel bans, including from jihadist regions, they specify that. Grant mass amnesty.
No.
Everybody gets amnesty.
They didn't specify that. The Biden campaign did not specify that we need to end travel bans from jihadist regions. Your people specified that. They would never write that.
Mass amnesty. Think of that. And this is create a roadmap to citizenship for massive, massive numbers. And we're not talking about DACA because I'm going to take care of DACA much better than the Democrats did.
The Democrats created DACA. You stopped DACA. Over the past 3 years, the Democrats have offered multiple compromises on DACA, including $21 billion for your wall, which you refused to sign.
Democrats had their chance, and they blew it. But we're going to take care of DACA because I'm going to be doing, in the not-too-distant future, pretty soon, I'm going to be signing a new immigration action. Very, very big merit-based immigration action that based on the DACA decision.
He's calling it a bill or an action. It's just an executive order. There's literally means not much. He can do things on legislation. He cannot pass a bill by himself. Only Congress can pass a bill, which then he signs and ratifies.
I'll be able to do. Vastly expand low-skilled immigration to the United States. So they want a lot of people come in with low skills. I like merit. Think of that. Vastly expand low-skilled immigration to the United States. These are the things that are in the plan. This is Biden.
That's not in the plan, I'm sure. It's probably something vastly expand or get rid of merit only, which is what he wants, because you need low-skilled workers. That's how you get your food.
Biden's gone radical left. Increase refugee admissions by 700%.
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah.
That's a lot.
That's good.
700%. Nobody's ever heard of such a thing.
We have. We had it before.
Refugee admissions by 700%.
Right. Refugees.
Abolish law enforcement as we know it.
No.
I think the police do an incredible job in this country. And you're going to have a rogue, terrible cop on occasion, like you do in any industry, in any business, in any profession. But I think they do an incredible job. Abolish.
Yeah, there's not like a lot of cameramen in the movie industry who kill black guys at a ratio per capita that this doesn't happen in every industry.
Law enforcement as we know it. End cash bail. No bail. Just, we let you right out. Look at what's happened to New York. Crime is up, shootings are up at numbers that nobody's ever seen before. Look at Chicago. What a disaster.
Everyone has seen those numbers before. They're still way lower than they were in the 70s, 80s, and early 90s. And who's president right now that was going to end the American carnage? Right here, right now?
And we're waiting for them.
The drinking word is Biden, Ruth Ann.
Them to call us.
Which I just said again. Drink up.
Because we're all set to go. We have the FBI. We have Homeland Security. We have everybody ready to go.
What?
We have the National Guard. They're all ready to go. End cash bail, releasing.
Hold on.
Because we're all set to go. End cash bail. No bail. Just, we let you right out.
There's an argument.
Look at what's happened to New York. Crime is up, shootings are up at numbers that nobody's ever seen before. Look at Chicago. What a disaster.
Yeah. So the idea behind ending cash bail is that many people cannot afford the $5,000, $10,000, $100,000 bail or whatever set by the judge. So there's got to be a better system to doing that, because if you can't afford your bail, you stay in jail until your trial comes up. Trials can take weeks, months, and in some cases years, and you could be in jail that entire time and be found innocent. There's problems with that.
And we're waiting for them to call us because we're all set to go. We have the FBI. We have Homeland Security.
Trump is going to stop shootings in Chicago by sending the FBI?
We have everybody ready to go. We have the National Guard. They're all ready to go.
Chicago.
End cash bail, releasing dangerous criminals onto our streets. Cash bail. New York just did that. Other places have done it.
Yeah, here's the thing. The FBI already has jurisdiction over Chicago. There's nothing stopping an FBI investigation in Chicago. In fact, if I've learned anything from TV, the FBI comes in and they're always assholes. We're taking over here. And then the cops get up against each other. And then your cops always get shooed out. But that's okay because they play by their own rules. And they're going to get suspended and they're going to solve the crime on their off time.
They haven't turned out too good. Abolish completely the death penalty.
Hey, Twiggy.
And I know there's a lot of debate on the death penalty, and there has been for a long time, but
not a lot.
Sometimes you use the death penalty, depending on the crime. You know what happened today.
That ends the debate. I think a government should not take a life of its own citizen, especially since so many of them, through further technologies, are eventually found innocent. Your counterpoint, sir?
Penalty. And I know there's a lot of debate on the death penalty, and there has been for a long time. But
what is your side?
Sometimes you use the death penalty.
Time, Senator. That's his argument right there. There it is. Sometimes you use it.
Depending on the crime. You know what happened today with regard to the death penalty.
Yeah.
Appoint social
First time in 20 years, 22, whatever it was, a couple of decades, we used the death penalty here in the United States.
justice prosecutors in order to free violent criminals. So they want to appoint social justice prosecutors to free violent criminals.
That's what's in their platform. Joe Biden 2020, let's free the violent criminals.
Mandatory.
I think so. This was put together by his people. I honestly believe that he thinks he's reading things directly from the Biden platform, not from Stephen Miller. I think he honestly believes that.
Minimums. And that's by empowering judges to determine appropriate sentences, by fighting to repeal mandatory minimums at the federal level and give states incentives to repeal their mandatory minimums.
Memonims.
In order to free violent criminals.
Yeah, we said that.
So they want to appoint social justice prosecutors to free violent criminals.
Uh-huh.
End mandatory minimums.
Yeah.
And that's by empowering judges to determine appropriate sentences.
Right.
By fighting to repeal mandatory minimums at the federal level.
Minimums. So he doesn't want judges to be able to set appropriate sentences. That's what he's saying. He's arguing against judges using judgment.
And give states incentives to repeal their mandatory minimums. We could go on for days. Incentivize prison closure. So they want to close our prisons. They now want to abolish. They want to abolish our police departments. They want to abolish our prisons, I guess.
I want to abolish our police departments. Some of them are not very shiny at all.
We could go on for days.
Yeah, you do.
Incentivize prison closure. So they want to close our prisons. They now want to abolish. They want to abolish our police departments. They want to abolish our prisons, I guess.
Is he talking about the dog that I saw? You guys watch. I'm going to get the dog. Okay, go ahead. Go ahead, Trump. Here's your chance.
Incentivize jail and prison closures as populations decline.
Nope.
Ensure the resources saved are invested directly into those communities. So they want to close them rather than have them for some very bad people that are not going to behave when they get out. You see that in New York. They allowed a lot of criminals out, and those criminals are causing.
I swear to God, he watched my video. Here it is, guys. I love this guy. Here it comes.
He's a gooders. Yes, you are. Yes, you are such a gooders.
Abolish the police. Trump is getting his talking points from me. This is awesome, guys. I'm going to put together some more videos. More videos coming, by the way, because of your guys' support. Things are happening. Things I'm very excited about. I'm going to be sharing it with my patrons and figure out a way to do it with my PayPalers as well. So if you'd like to become a patron, go to kevinleefather.com. And if you want previews like Abolish the Police, do you get it? Because I don't. Please send me a DM if you get it and explain it to me. Let's get right back to this guy, kevinleefather.com or paypal.me, Kevin Lee Dad, because father was not available.
Havoc. And then they got rid of their incredible and legendary crime squad. And bad things are happening in New York. Bad things are happening. I love New York. I hate to see what's going on. End solitary confinement.
Just FYI, in the Manhattan where he lives, the Bronx where he's from, the New York City area, he got 18% of the vote in 2016. 18%. Those who know Trump do not favor him.
Free federal housing for former inmates. So federal housing now can go to
a lifer is Dr.
inmates,
Howard.
former inmates. Rejoin Paris Climate Accord and seek an even higher level of restrictions. Oh, I didn't notice that. Oh, I see. So they want to rejoin the Paris Climate Accord, and they want to seek an even higher level of restriction. In other words, make it worse than it was. Mandate net zero carbon emissions for homes, offices, and all new buildings by 2030. That basically means no windows, no nothing.
The great builder thinks that you can't build a green building with windows. Donald Trump. He's a builder. Thinks that Joe Biden wants to abolish windows, or perhaps abolish windows.
It's very hard to do.
It is.
I tell people when they want to go into some of these buildings, how are your eyes? Because they won't be good in 5 years. And I hope you don't mind.
Because they don't have windows. His eyes will go bad. Because he would spend much of his time when he was a businessman just staring out the window, watching the World Trade Centers fall from behind other buildings that he could see through the buildings magically.
Cold office space in the winter and warm office space in the summer.
Exactly the opposite of what insulation does. Again, the great builder doesn't understand how insulation works.
Because your air conditioning is not the same as the good old days. Mandate zero carbon emissions
The good old
from
days.
power plants by 2035. Zero. We're talking about zero. Nothing can go in the air.
The solemn
Mandate
pledge, Rich.
net zero carbon emissions by 2050. And I believe he's changing that. He's bringing it down. He wants no petroleum products.
Net zero does not mean that no carbon can go into the air. It's a net. Again, the great businessman doesn't understand how net works.
He wants no oil or gas. I don't think Texas is going to do too well. They're going to get rid of about...
This is what happens when Daddy gives an idiot millions of dollars. Why? The Electoral College was designed to prevent him. That idiot. Wow. How can... I'm sorry. I've voted Republican before. I vote by issues, by individuals sometimes, but I've voted Republican, I voted Democrat, I voted Independent. I'm an American. I don't have a political party. But I cannot vote for the GOP ever again. If 96% of them, or 86% of them, or 75% of them support this complete idiot who doesn't understand what net means, after being one of the world's greatest businessmen for 50 years. Wow.
7 million jobs if you go by the Biden plan. I don't think that Oklahoma, North Dakota, Pennsylvania
We
are
love
going to be
it.
too happy with that. And many other states, Ohio. Mandate all 500,000 school
This guy-
buses.
Someday I'm going to find a good copy of it, but he is Christopher Walken doing the Skittles commercial. Jay Moore did a Skittles commercial as Christopher Walken on Saturday Night Live years ago, and it's hilarious, and it is Trump. Jay, if you're watching and you do a Trump impression, you have to do his speeches.
And all 3 million government vehicles be changed to zero-emission vehicles within 5 years. I've heard of worse than that. Install 500,000
Good idea.
taxpayer-funded charging stations nationwide.
Good idea.
Here's a bad one, really bad one.
Oh, the bad one.
End school choice. There is nothing that the African American community wants more than school choice.
I think everyone, regardless of skin color, wants good public schools for everyone so that we don't have to have the school choice. But do me a favor, who's in here? Someone just quickly look up and see if the Biden platform says ending school choice. I'm sure it doesn't, but there's wackiness abound this year, and it's possible. That's a 7% possibility. Somebody check that out for me.
And mothers and fathers are going to be very happy to see him be defeated.
Wait, is he tearing
just
up?
on that alone? And African American community wants more than
Mothers and
school
fathers.
choice. And mothers and fathers are going to be very happy to see him be defeated
See?
just on that alone. End school choice. So Joe Biden wants to end school choice.
So, Biden, drinking word, drink up. Secondly, what was that? What just happened?
End tax credit scholarships serving disadvantaged students in 26 states. Oppose 14 million Americans with education savings accounts.
What?
And get rid of school choice. Wants to end school choice. End tax credit scholarships serving disadvantaged students in 26 states. Oppose 14 million Americans with education savings accounts. And get rid of...
What? The Democrats want to oppose 26 million Americans with savings? What does that even mean?
School choice, having to do with school choice. Eliminate school choice in Washington, D.C. You know what they've done in Washington. They have some incredible example right here. Example. I know of one example. I think they have a number of them. Choice, having to do with school choice.
I have incredible example. Should have said examples. And then he corrects himself by saying example. And then one example, which wouldn't be some. And some of those words, I assume, are English.
Eliminate.
Oh, of course. Bev says it's an exam poll. For those of you who are watching on a device too small to see the chat room, Bev just said exam poll, like E-X-A-M, exam, like taking an exam. Now, I get it now, because he thinks school choice is when you get to choose who takes your SAT, which is an exam. This all wraps up. I think we're done here, guys. This is really, I think we've had a breakthrough, and I think we should move on. Let's reconvene tomorrow.
School choice in Washington, D.C. You know what they've done in Washington. They have some
I don't,
incredible example right here. Example. I know of one example. I think they have a number of them, but one is incredible. Abolish all charter schools. Charter schools are doing great. Ban funding for charter schools in poor neighborhoods. We don't want charter schools in poor neighborhoods. Well, that's not fair. Abolish educational standards. Abolish in the suburbs. You're going to abolish the suburbs with this. Enforce Biden's radical...
The suburbs? I do not want to live in a suburb if they're going to abolish them. What is happening right now? And keep in mind, if Obama ever made a speech like this in the Rose Garden, which has always been in an unwritten rule, politics free, it's not supposed to be used as a platform. This is not a whistle spot. This is a whistle stop, I should say. This is the White House. This is the people's house. This is sacred ground. You're not supposed to use it as part of your political agenda. There's no law against it. There's no written rule against it, but it's just a modicum of respect for the ground upon which you stand. This is a tirade. And it's insanity. This is the 25th Amendment. It could be the 26th, 27th, and I say it could go as high as the 28th Amendment.
FH, that's the AFFH regulation that threatens to strip localities of federal affordable housing funds unless they change their zoning laws to fit the federal government's demands. So what you have, I mean, I've been watching this for years in Westchester, coming from New York. They want low-income housing built in a neighborhood. Well, I'm ending that rule. I'm taking it out. So I had spoke with Ben Carson the other day.
So let's not have any more low-income housing? So the reason for rules like that is first economic fairness and blah, blah, blah. But essentially, when you live in a nice suburb, you want police, teachers, etc. to be in that suburb. You want them to work in your town. Otherwise, you have no teachers. We don't have school anymore, but that's not the point. You have no police officers. That sort of middle income range of 32 to 60,000. Once you're priced out of that range, teachers, etc., start disappearing because they don't want to commute an hour and a half each way. So you create high density residents in your city. You come up with, well, let's have 6 houses per whatever per capita. 6 houses per capita, all the per capitas in your neighborhood or in a neighborhood. You come up with apartments. You come up with low-income housing. Maybe 1 out of every 8 houses, let's say, has to be low income. And then apartment builders, if they want to build a huge apartment complex or condo complex, they also have to have some units. Usually they get away with it. They find an area of town that's going to be cheaper land, and they shove all the poor people out there. But at least the poor people can live within a decent distance by bus or walking or cheap car to their workplace. That's the point. You have to have low-income housing in your area. Maybe not your neighborhood, but in areas. But anyway, he wants to get rid of that. Or the Democrats do. Or Santa Claus. I have no idea what's happening.
Today, we're going to be taking it out. I've watched that whole thing go, and now they want to make it twice as bad in the suburbs. In the suburbs. Mothers aren't happy about that. Fathers aren't happy about that. They worked hard to buy a house, and now they're going to watch the housing values drop like a rock, and that has happened. Drop like a rock. So we're not going to do that. We're going to do the exact opposite. Probably there has never been a time, and this is just a few, it's much worse than that. We did this very quickly. It's probably never been a time when candidates are so different. We want law and order. They don't want law and order. We want strong, closed borders with people able to come in through merit, through a legal process. They don't want to have any borders at all. They're going to rip down the wall. It was hard to get that built, and now it's almost completed. It'll be completed by a little after the end of the year. They want to rip it down, and it's had such an impact. It's incredible. It stops trafficking, human trafficking of women and children, but women mostly. Human trafficking, one of the worst.
I downplay children because we're not valuing children anymore. We're just sending them back to school. So women and children, some children, but women.
Worst things ever.
You know why? Kids don't vote.
We're all at a level that it's never been at because of the internet. You think of it as an ancient statement. You wouldn't think that's possible today, but
I would
it's
think
human
it's
trafficking of women and children.
Imagine the internet making something easier to access.
And they want to let that continue. The wall has stopped it so much because they will go over to a section where there aren't people, not an entry point, and they'll make a left into the United States. They're on their way. They can't do that anymore. We have a 30-foot.
First off, how is this making a left? That's just making a small S in the desert sand. Secondly, why is it always making a left? Why are they always coming from Tijuana and driving along the wall until they can make a left? Why can't they just drive straight from where they are, or make a right into the United States? What is wrong with his brain?
Wall that goes 6 feet into the ground. It stops a lot of the tunneling because they're pretty good at tunnels.
He keeps giving away specifics on the wall. So if I'm a smuggler in Mexico, I'm thinking, okay, well, we build the tunnels more than 6 feet under the fence, which is what you do with a tunnel anyway, so it doesn't collapse. But he gives away these specifics. But on the other hand, if I'm sitting in Mexico and I'm a smuggler, I'm like, wait, he gets every number wrong. So if the flu was in 1917, the tunnel has to be 48 feet deep. Like the smugglers can't depend on Trump, and that's wrong.
Do things, and frankly, with the or monument, we haven't had any law and order. For instance, I enacted recently when I saw that.
I think I skipped something. Hold on, sorry.
Exact platforms. I'm even talking about essentially Democrat, Republican. We want law and order. We want strong, closed borders with people able to come in through merit, through. It stops a lot of the tunneling because they're pretty good at tunnels. But we watch the tunnels and we have equipment for that. But you can't make a left anymore and come into the United States loaded up with human traffic.
There it is. Left.
So they want to take down the wall. They want to have open borders. Think of
What does
open
this map
borders
look
today,
like?
though, with the pandemic. I mean, the timing is sort of interesting, but with the pandemic. So there's never been a time when two candidates were so different. I mean, I've seen
is true.
races where
That
it's
is
like
absolutely true.
the same exact platforms. I'm even talking about essentially Democrat, Republican. There's not that much difference. There's a little.
Thanks to @random, she fact-checked this for me. At some point, Biden said he opposed federal funds for charter schools. That is true. That's a long-time Democratic platform. But yeah, his platform says nothing about school choice. So nobody wants to get rid of school choice. You can still send your kid to private school if you want to. And private schools are allowed to give away scholarships, and many do. And that's great. If you have a private school and you prefer to send your child there, that's fantastic. But if you have a problem with the schools, fix the schools.
Difference, but there's not much. You choose one because you like the way they look, you like the way they sound, you like the way they talk.
That's how Trump has voted in the past. He votes for a particular candidate because he likes the way they look, the way they sound, the way they talk.
You like something about one and you don't like the other, but there's never been a difference. Here's one of the greatest differences.
Never
this
been
is
a
without
difference
question
between
the single
candidates.
biggest difference. If you want law and order, for instance, I enacted recently when I saw all that was going on with federal monuments. We don't have the right to do states, although we're trying to find it. But with the monuments, where they wanted to rip down Andrew Jackson, they wanted to rip down George Washington. They were actually heading over to the Jefferson Memorial, if you can believe that.
I do.
But this has been going on, and I found an act that we've used, and we have many, many people in jail right now.
He said he enacted. Then he switches it to, I found an act. That's not enacting something.
Many, many people in jail all over the country because they tried to destroy, or in some cases got it down, a federal statue or monument. We haven't had anybody making a move since I enacted this. I signed an executive order a couple of weeks ago.
That is not true at all. There have been dozens of vandalizations of monuments and statues on federal ground. Just watch Fox News in the morning. That's the lead story. New York and Chicago are burning, and statues. That's what Fox is covering right now. And then they have the lady that comes on and does the news for about 30 seconds, does the News McNuggets, and she talks about the coronavirus or whatever else is going on. And then it's right back to Don Bongino talking about how terrible everything is. Oh, but only in Democrat cities.
It says very simply, 10 years in jail. You do it, 10 years in jail. The amazing part is we were able to catch everybody because thanks to all of you on television, we appreciate it.
I got to beat Danielle right now.
But we have their
guys.
pictures. We have the man standing on Andrew Jackson's horse. We have the man standing by General George Washington. We have everybody
Thoughts and prayers
standing
for Dan.
where they were going to go for the Emancipation Proclamation, Abraham Lincoln, standing with a young man who was being freed. And we said, we're going to
The young man is not standing. Lincoln is standing. Just declare that
do
out.
something. We can't let this happen. Now, it could be removed at some point. You go through a process, a legal process, go through Congress, whatever. I understand that. At the same time, some people like these statues and monuments, but it can be removed, but you have to go through a legal process. So they were going to have 20 to 25,000 people that night. Nobody showed up. Nobody. You know that because you were disappointed to see that. The next night, I believe 22 people showed up. They said, we're going to make it Friday night instead. And 22 people showed up. 4 were actually arrested.
He's not subject to the Hatch Act. He's not a civil servant or a government employee. Technically, he's a government employee. We're paying him, but he's an elected official, so they don't have to do Hatch Act stuff.
Because we have pictures of them knocking down other statues, so they're in jail.
So
now.
he can be political.
So there has never been an election where we've had this kind of difference. We want strong
True.
borders. Without borders, you've heard me say it 1,000
No
times.
countries.
Without borders, you don't have a country.
That's true.
They don't want to have borders. They want to have open.
True that he said that 1,000 times. Not true that without borders you don't have borders are just imaginary lines anyway. So, yes, there's many countries that don't have big walls and they still have a country.
Open borders. It's radical left, and it'll destroy our country. 20 years ago, Venezuela was a very rich country, one of the richest anywhere. Per capita, one of the richest, tremendous oil reserves.
No.
Now they don't have water.
Hold on. I actually have Venezuela 20 years ago per capita. Let me pull it up for you guys. It's going to take me a second here, but it's worth it. He specifically said per capita, and we know he doesn't understand what per capita is. Let me see what I can do with this. I'm going to play him again while I figure this out.
They don't have food. They don't have medicine. We do everything we can to take care of the people, but they have nothing. And that's exactly the ideology that you have going over here. If I wasn't there to stop it, if I wasn't here to say, no way, that's not.
There's Venezuela. They according to Trump 20 years ago, they were much richer per capita. This is Venezuela, GDP per capita. There's 2,000. They are just about, let's say they're at 5,000. As of 2014, where this chart ends, this is according to the World Bank, by the way, they were above 15,000. So they had nothing 20 years ago. Just makes shit up and then realizes what he's saying is wrong and throws in a per capita. In other words, how he sees things. That's what he thinks per capita means. Anyway, back to reality. Yeah, I have a Twitch. Lizzie, if you're listening, tell Dan what my Twitch is. I'm not even sure. Real Kevinly Father or something?
Going to happen, we'd be in some mess. And Pelosi and Schumer and Bernie and Joe, they'll never stop it. They don't have the power, the strength to stop it. It's beyond them. But we do. So there's never been a time like this where you've had an election of people so different. Okay, a couple of questions. Yeah, please, go ahead.
Sir, you just spent the better part of an hour explaining why Americans should choose you and not your opponent. Yesterday you said on Twitter, be careful what you wish for. I guess the question is, do you see yourself as the underdog in this race? Do you see yourself losing in the fall?
No, I don't. I think we have really good poll numbers. They're not suppression polls, they're real polls. You look at the intercoastal in Florida, you look at the lakes, you see thousands of boats with Trump signs, American signs.
Boats are really the best polls. I mean, that's just good science.
You've got the Trump Pence sign all over. You look at what's going on, you look at bikers for miles and miles riding up highways proudly with their signs.
People who have riding lawnmowers, big Trump fans, golf carts. A lot of people in golf carts, they're screaming Pence and Trump and white power. 2020. Lots of boats.
We won a race where it was the same thing. 2016, we had polls that were fake. They turned out to be fake. Not all. A couple of them got it right. 3 of them, to be exact. 3 of them. One of them was unsuspecting. But they got it right. They were very proud of it. But we had in 2016 something even more so, but we got in, and we had 306 to, I guess, 223, which was a tremendous margin of difference. You remember?
It was 304 to 227. I know that. I know it. He says it, and he's wrong every single time. It was 304. He says 306. It was 227 for Hillary. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter because he won. But he cannot accept reality no matter what. He has to make himself look better. He has to make his opponent look worse. That must be in his niece's book somewhere. That's just what he does every single fucking time. Every time I've seen him say that since 1917.
They all said he cannot get to 270. I went to Maine a number of times where we just freed up lobster fishing and fishing. Just They took
Sidebar.
away 5,000 square miles from Maine. I just opened it up. And I just got rid of tariffs in China. And we're working on European Union, which charge our fishermen tariffs. And I said, you're not going to do that. So we freed it up for Maine. But if you take a look, we went up there recently. There were crowds, thousands of people lined up going over to a factory where we were opening up for. We're making swabs, a beautiful big new factory making swabs. I think that the enthusiasm now.
He refused to wear a mask the day that he went to the swab factory, so they had to throw out every swab that they made because it was now compromised. That day, every swab that they made in that day's batch, they had to throw out because Mr. Doorknob up here would not wear a mask.
Is greater and maybe far greater than it was in 2016. I think a lot of people don't want to talk about it. I think they're not going to say, hey, I'm for Trump, I'm for Trump. They don't want to go through the process. And I fully understand that because
Through the process? What process is it to say I'm for Trump? How is that a process?
This is not fair. The media doesn't treat us fairly. They never have, and perhaps they never will. But maybe they will when we turn this around for a second time, and it's going to happen very quickly. When we turn it around for a second time, maybe they will. I think we're doing very well in the
Kind of the point that you shouldn't have to turn it around a second time. You want to... First off, they didn't turn around anything from Obama. If you look at any chart, the unemployment was coming down under Obama. Stock market was going up, almost tripled under Obama, and he didn't turn anything around. He just slowed things down, quite literally.
the polls.
Oh, fact check myself. He did turn something around. Manufacturing was in a contraction before the virus got here. The point is, though, he didn't stop the virus.
And I think you have a silent majority, the likes of which this country has never seen before. This is a very important election. We've done a great job. We had to turn it off, as I said, turn it off, and now we've started it.
The silent majority literally got their own Twitter. They built Parler, and we're like, hey, we're all going over to Parler. Parler keeps sending me ads telling me to come on Twitter. They keep sending me ads saying, come on over to Parler, Mr. Liberal. There's nobody there but right-wing nuts, and so they're lonely. There's nobody to argue their ridiculous... they're not even arguments. They're debate. You can have debates there about the death penalty. The death penalty is it's a thing that you do. Send.
Again, as you know, they announced 2 weeks ago record job numbers, almost 5 million people. And that beat the last month, which was also a record, 2.8 million people. Nobody's ever done what we've done, and now we're doing it twice. And I think by Election Day, you're going to see some...
Also, nobody's ever had to do what we've done.
Incredible numbers. The third quarter is going to be really good. Fourth quarter is going to be great, but next year is going to be one of the best economic years. So hopefully I'll be able to be the president where we say, look at the great job I did.
Not going to happen.
At this point.
I think great. I think we have a great chance. I think we're going to have a lot of people show up. I'm very worried about mail-in voting because I think it's subject to tremendous fraud and being rigged. You see that Paterson, New Jersey, where I believe it was 20% of the vote was fraudulent. It was...
Yeah, it was a small, very small county vote, and some of the candidates involved actually did try and harvest ballots and stuff. Anyway, they got caught. And 20% were not fraudulent. They have to count them. They just were gathered by harvesters or vote tabbing. In some states, it's completely legal to give your ballot to somebody else, and people will go around and gather ballots and then submit those ballots so that you don't have to go to the post office or whatever. Patterson County, about 20% were questionable because you can't have more than 3 in Patterson County. I think in all of New Jersey, you can't harvest more than 3 ballots. So you can bring yourself and somebody else's and somebody else's. There's probably an exception for family members. I don't even know. Point is, they were caught. And it didn't work because it's really hard to commit fraud with mail-in ballots.
All sorts of things happen. I understand a mailman was recently indicted someplace for playing games with the mail-in ballots. You'll have tremendous fraud if you do these mail-in ballots. Now, absentee ballots are okay, because absentee ballots, you have to get applications, you have to go through a process. If I'm here and I vote in Florida,
You have to go through a process, just like if you want to say, I support Trump, it's a process. Absentee ballots and mail-in ballots are exactly the same thing in many states. There's the same process. Hello, I would like an absentee ballot. That's my process. Hello, I support President Trump. Somebody capture that. Watch, Lizzie will do it.
you get an absentee ballot, but you have to go through a process.
Trump.
Absentee ballots are great. But mail-in voting, where a governor mails millions of ballots to people all over the state, California, millions and millions of ballots as an example, and then they come back, they don't come back. Who got them? Did you forget to send them to a Republican area?
Yes, he's actually right. That is the way mail-in ballots work. You send out millions of ballots, and they come back, or they don't come back. That is what we call democracy.
Or a Democrat area, I guess you could say. But if you take a look at all of the unbelievable fraud that's been involved with mail-in voting over the last even short period of but look at Paterson, New Jersey. It was a massive error and a massive miscalculation, and there was incredible fraud. Look at the city council, what's happened to it. This is one place, but you have many places.
It is one place.
And they're all over. Yes, please.
But you have many places, and they're all over. Also true. There are many places, and they are all over. Just about every place I go, there's a place.
Thank you, sir. I want to know, when's the last time you spoke with President Xi of China, and do you plan to speak with him in the near future?
No.
Again, China, he's my best friend. We share the most beautiful chocolate cake you've ever seen. We made an amazing deal. Nobody said it could be done, but China is now going to pay us all these millions. They're going to buy all of this corn, and they're going to buy all these soybeans, and they're going to buy and it's going to be so great for the American farmer. Let's go back to the question and hit play.
Many places, and they're all over. Yes, please.
Yeah, places are all over.
Thank you, sir. I want to know, when's the last time you spoke with President Xi of China, and do you plan to speak with him in the near future?
No, I haven't spoken to him. No, I don't. I have no plan to speak to him. Yeah,
And,
please go.
sir, follow-up.
That is the art of the deal.
You want to do a follow-up?
Yeah, if you don't mind.
Okay, yeah. Is it okay?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. I just wanted to know, Ruth Bader Ginsburg was hospitalized today with an infection. Wanted to know if you had any reaction to that news.
No, I wish her the best. I hope she's better. I didn't hear that, actually. She was just hospitalized? No, that's too bad. No, I wish her the best.
Okay.
She's actually giving me some good rulings. Okay? So you know that, right? People were surprised. No, I wish her the absolute best. Please.
Thank you, Mr. President. So you were mentioning the travel bans, and I wonder, when do you plan to review that? Because the European countries are in the situation is under control, much a better place than the U.S., and there is no ban for.
There is zero chance he understands what this question is actually about. She's asking, when are you going to repeal the travel bans to Europe, Brazil, China? Because they have much lower rates of infection. I haven't heard the rest of the question, but I'm going to guess that's where she's going. He is not going to understand what she is asking because he's so distracted by the accent and the fact that she may in fact be a beautiful woman. He's befuddled by it. He's just not thinking about the words she's saying.
Other hotspots like Russia and India. So what will be the criteria to change that? And another question.
Well, you know, we banned for Europe.
Okay, so she's saying why Europe and Brazil when not Russia and India.
And at some point that'll come off, and we're dealing with them all the time. The relationship's very good. They just don't treat us very well on trade. They have been very unfair to us over many, many decades. And we're doing that. It's very easy.
So we're going to stop the ban on Europe, but they've been unfair to us on trade. So he's punishing Europe for trade policy?
To solve. I was all set to solve it, actually, and then we got hit with the plague. But we have a travel ban on various countries, and that travel ban remains until such time as we say it doesn't remain.
And
We
Mr.
want our country.
Oh, that's profound. The travel ban remains until such time as we say it doesn't remain. Somebody write that down. Lizzie, what are you doing?
Safe. We don't, unlike Biden, we don't want to have criminals pouring into our country. We don't want to have open borders. We're not going to have that. And we want to take care of our police. We want to actually fund our police, not defund them. And we're not going to abolish our police. And we're not going to make our military small and weak. Because probably, or at least at top of the level, we need our military right now. Yeah, go ahead, please.
So how do you think that the America First policy can work during a pandemic? Aren't you concerned that this could actually damage the U.S. and make China more influence around the world?
Okay, look, my policy is America First. We've lost hundreds of billions of dollars a year with China and many other countries. And what we're doing is just handing everybody everything. It's just sad. I've watched it. I've looked at it. We did the U.S.-Mexico. You saw that, USMCA. We made a very fair deal on trade. We had the worst deal ever, right? You know that. We had the worst deal ever, and it replaced that. It replaced that horrible NAFTA deal that was one of the worst trade deals ever made. I'll tell you, the only deal that might be worse is the WTO, World Trade Organization. Maybe worse. OAN, please.
Oh, here we go.
Thank you, Mr. President.
OAN.
Your administration has taken tangible steps to ensure that Chinese companies are not taking advantage of our U.S. stock markets, our trade. Last week, your administration sent a letter to the Railroad Retirement Board asking them to reconsider investments in Chinese defense firms.
Meaning not to invest.
Correct.
That's correct.
So where is that request now, and are you taking tangible actions to ensure that U.S. investments don't continue to fund defense firms in China?
And you'll see more coming. This was a very important bill that we signed, but you're going to see more coming over the next short period of time. But yes, we don't want them investing in Chinese military companies, okay?
Letters, I mean, what actions can be taken to ensure that does not happen?
Well, you have a lot of actions we can take, including the increase. You know, right now people don't know China's paying a lot of tariffs. We made a China deal, and they bought just, I think, the third highest amount of corn ever in world history. They just bought from us the highest amount, which is great for our farmers. But I view it differently than I did before I made
because he's not going to call him.
The deal. When I made the deal, I thought this was a great deal. After what happened to us, what happened to the world coming from China, I view it much differently. But we can impose massive tariffs on China if we want, and other countries if we want. And we'll see. We just want to be treated fairly. We want a level playing field. Our farmers were never treated properly by anybody.
We want a level playing field so we can impose tariffs.
And they were targeted by China. You know, I paid our farmers $28 billion over a 2-year period, because they were targeted to that amount of money, to that exact amount of money, 28.
That's not accurate.
It was $16 billion, and it was $12 billion, 28 over a 2-year period. And we gave $28 billion to our farmers. That's why they're all here. And now they're doing very well. Our farmers are doing very well because we made really great trade deals. USMCA just kicked in. The China deal, they're buying a lot. They are buying a lot. We'll say that. They're buying a lot. A lot of people ask, how are they doing on the trade deal? They're buying a lot. So I want to thank everybody, and we'll be having these conferences. Again, we're going to be signing an immigration act very soon. It's going to be based on merit.
There will be no signing of an immigration act. There is no immigration act. No matter if he calls it a bill or an act or what, it's an executive order. It is not an act.
To be very strong. We're going to work on DACA because we want to make people.
It will not be very strong. It's a presidential executive order, and it can be reversed by any president at any time.
Happy, and I'll tell you, even
or by the Supreme Court.
Conservative Republicans want to see something happen with DACA. The Democrats had their chance for 3 years to do something with DACA, and they always turned it down. They always turned it down. They used it as politics. I'm using it to get something done. But we'll be signing a very powerful immigration act.
It's not an
It'll
act.
be great. It'll be merit-based. The country's tried to get it for 25 or 30 years.
Which countries?
It'll be strong on the border, but you'll come in legally, and you'll be able to come in legally. And very importantly, we'll be taking care of people from DACA in a very Republican way. Republicans, I've spoken to many Republicans, and some would like to leave it out.
How do you take care of the people from DACA, if that even makes sense, in a very Republican way? Never allowing them to be citizens? I actually don't have a problem with that. I mean, they didn't come here legally in the first place, but, you know, if people, for example, serve in the military, let them be citizens. They've done more for their country than this yahoo ever has.
But really, they understand that it's the right thing to do. So we're going to be taking care of DACA. We will be doing for DACA what the Democrats had a chance to do, and they never did it, okay? Thank you all very much.
They approached him multiple times with... anyway. I hate this house! I hate
President
this
Trump.
house! Okay, and then he walks away. So I counted 4 questions, but you guys keep saying 3, so that's fine too. Okay, so that's it for that. Oh, boy. What time is it? It's 5 o'clock. So this, I had said we are going to cover yesterday's conference today, and it was 4. Okay, thanks, Ruth Ann. You know, somebody could say 5, and I'd be like, all right, fine. It's just been so much of this today. It's absolutely insanity. Speaking of insanity, Lizzie's been busy. This is what Lizzie did. Hold on a second here. That's my process. Hello, I support President Trump. See? That's my process. Hello, I support President Trump. So that's a thing now. Thank you, Lizzie. I'm flattered. Let me go back to my view here so I can see what's going on. There we are. It is 6 o'clock. Thank you. So here's what we're going to do. Nobody expected this to happen today. Nobody wanted it to happen today. But I think because Biden came out and did his 16-minute speech, Trump felt like he wanted to get some anti-Biden stuff in, so that's why he did this. And what was it? At least 50 minutes of a tirade? Almost all of it nonsense? I didn't even bother fact-checking most of it. I know hardly any Trump voters in here. If you're watching at home, everybody's watching at home. If you're watching but not in one of our chat rooms or not chatting at all, that's fantastic. If you're watching and you'd like to support me, you can go to kevinleefather.com and become a patron and get your name in the credits, much like Bev is going to get her name in the credits again. I don't know how you disappeared, Bev, but today's broadcast was brought to you by our good friend Bev Klein. So Bev, shoot me an email or something. No, I can look it up. I probably won't forget at this point, but I might. So I'll probably do that right now. So we will cover the President's Conference tomorrow, unless another of these conferences come up. So he did the conference yesterday. He did an interview on Telemundo over the weekend, and then he's also doing an interview, or has done an interview, depending on your time zone, on the CBS Evening News. I don't get that feed until 6:30, which is a half hour from now. And you can find it. It's all over Twitter already. Basically, he says, hey, the question is, how come black people keep getting shot by police? And his response is, well, white people, a lot more white people get shot, which per capita doesn't make any sense. Let's check out Billy Joel very quickly here. For those of you watching who aren't familiar, we also do this thing. Usually we keep it separate, but we're not keeping it separate in this case. I'm going to do the opening here in a second if it works. We had some resets on the computers and not everything's working properly, but we're going to give it a shot. We do this thing called Billy Joel Madness. It's like March Madness, except we had 64 Billy Joel songs. We're down to the Elite 8, and we're going to get to the Final 4, and 3 of the votes for the Final 4 have already taken place. We're going to take a look at them in just a second. But first, we're going to take a look at Billy Joel Madness intro, brought to you by producer Rich Mack. Son of a bitch, it worked. Okay, let's... oh, there's me. Oh, that's because it's Lizzie's thing. Okay, let's go to... Here's how you find Billy Joel Madness. It's very simple. You go to twitter.com, and then you go up. That worked. Yay, let's see. Here, go to the search bar on the Twitters and put in hashtag Billy Joel Madness. And that will bring up the results that you're looking for. And hold on, I got to move this over. I got to come over here. And here's what you do. You go to the latest button on Twitter, like that. So not the top, but the latest. That usually gets us there. And let's see here. So, Piano Man, victory over Still Rock and Roll to Me, 61-38. Vienna beat up on Don't Ask Me Why, 53-46. And then the oh no, this one we already knew. So We Didn't Start the Fire beat My Life. So I guess we've done 2 of the votes to move forward. So Piano Man will face Vienna in the final 4. And on the other side, let me get that. Okay, I can do it here. Give me 1 minute to pull that up. On the other side of the aisle, on the east side, we're going to have a battle between, I thought I already put this up, but apparently it did not take. So New York State of Mind will take on Scenes from an Italian Restaurant, and The Longest Time will take on We Didn't Start the Fire. And this all seems so familiar, and I don't know why Twitter isn't showing it, but I thought I put up New York State of Mind against Scenes from Italian Restaurant. If anybody remembers voting in that, yes, happy birthday, Kevin Lee Brother. Thank you very much. I don't know if he's watching or not. Congratulations, Allison. Yours all won. So the other side, I'll put up, let's see, I'll put up New York State of Mind against Scenes from Italian Restaurant in a couple of minutes here. You can vote on that. And yes, I promised you, well, I didn't promise, I just said I would, which isn't the same as a promise. And even if it was a promise, you know what? My voice is running out, guys. Look at this. I started with 2 drinks. I'm down to that. Ruth Ann likes Scenes from an Italian Restaurant. I don't vote, and honestly, I don't know what I would decide between those 2, because, wow. Scenes from an Italian Restaurant, it's great because it's 3 and or 4 songs, and at random claims that and says that it's a perfect song, Scenes from an Italian Restaurant. Larry Williams is cousin Larry. He's not Kevin Lee Brother, but happy birthday, Larry Williams. He's Kevin Lee cousin. New York State of Mind, the musicality of that, the way it starts, I can't even describe. There's the riff that it carries you upwards and onwards, and at the same time it's somber, it's sentimental, but it's powerfully, the crescendo maintains the sentimentality. Does that make sense to you? It would be like someone yelling, "I love San Francisco," and it making sense. That's how I feel about that. And I've got no voice yet. But even as I'm saying, okay, the competition is between the 2 songs. New York State of Mind just won in my mind, because in my mind right now, comes down to reality. Well, it's fine with me, but I'll let it slide. Don't get me wrong. Nysum is really... New York State of Mind. I thought we were talking about the governor of California. For that Nysum needs to be thrown out of office. I hate that the 2 are up against each other, but we have to have a winner for some reason. One of the things I hate about life is that everything has to be compared to something else. So even if, for example, oh, yeah, but John Oliver isn't as witty as Stephen Colbert in Interview. Like, they're both fantastic. Why do we have to compare one to the other? That being said, I have 2 Emmy Awards, so I'm okay with that. But I hope I'm never up against John Oliver, because he's awesome. Stephen Colbert is also very good, but he's no John Oliver. Actually, I don't know who my favorite is between the 2 of them. I like John Oliver better right now because he gets to swear on air, and that's important. Hey, big news. Hopefully we're going to get an interview up live on Thursday, and I want you guys to be able to ask questions of the interviewee subject as well, which is redundant. I get that. Marcy, happy birthday. Is it Marthy's birthday as well? Happy birthday. That's about it, guys. I am so out of voice. I sound like Dr. Fauci now. By the way, I'll play you this. I think I can play you this. One last thing before we go, because this is kind of important. I can play you this. One moment. Let me go to... Dr. Fauci now has his own folder. He's been so busy lately on my computer. So I wanted to play you this from today. Dr. Fauci was asked, Dr. Fauci, whom should we trust for information on the coronavirus? And he gave a very good answer. Here you go. Did I get the ad job? Larry, I did not. Kevin Lee Daughter and I auditioned for an ad the other day, which would have been shown in Canada. So you would have seen it, Cousin Larry. I did, as far as I know, I didn't get the ad because it's probably shooting today, or at least the fitting was today, I think. Anyway, this is Dr. Fauci. The question is, who should the American people trust?
I would stick with
Hello?
respected medical authorities who have a track record of telling the truth, who have a track record of giving information and policy and recommendations based on scientific evidence and good data. So if I were to give advice to you and your family and your friends of your family, I would say that's the safest bet to do, to listen to the recommendations from that category of people. But it's entirely understandable how the public can get mixed messages and then get a bit confused about what they should do.
That is true. So that's Dr. Fauci talking about that. My favorite hockey team is the Oilers. Steph, don't you mean that you're baked again? Yeah, there's a lot of puff going on in my chat room. I'm not sure how to take that. Maybe they're after me. No, he doesn't deserve to be treated this way. Luckily, Dr. Fauci is a civil servant and can't be fired by Trump. That's why he's still there. If things go well with the very special guest that I'm hoping to have on Thursday, I'm going to try and get Dr. Fauci so that you guys can ask Dr. Fauci questions. But hardly anybody asks the questions that I want to ask Dr. Fauci. I just thoughts in my mind. So I'm going to try and get Dr. Fauci if things work out. So, not that I'm ever going to get Dr. Fauci, but who would have thought in my wildest dreams that I would ever get the guest we're going to have on Thursday? I'll give you a hint. Clinton. I'm just kidding. It's no Clinton. It's not a Clinton. I just thought. I tell you what, if I got Dr. Fauci, I'm going to try and get a Clinton. And it would probably be Chelsea, because if I got Bill on, I would just yell at him. He's the reason that Trump is in office. I mean, it comes right down to, if you break down piece by piece and where did it all go wrong, it's Bill Clinton. I feel your pain. And I hope that you show up November 3rd. Election day. It's all because of Bill's peen. Okay, that's about it for George Clinton. If I can get George Clinton on, that will be a coup. Well, I love you guys too. Filthy. Was that my response to my... actually, this year, the election day is going to be called Ejection Day, because it will be the end of Trump. Every day that passes by, I have more and more confidence. But I also know, deep within my heart of hearts, that the liberal Democrats will find a way to screw it up. So... be that defund the police or not. Okay, kids, I think that's it for tonight. That so far has been a 15-minute goodbye. And goodbyes are always difficult for me. Producer Joanna said I should take my glasses off in the call to action. Hey, kids, if you're out there and you're not already supporting me on Patreon, I would appreciate you doing so. Go to kevinleefather.com so that we can grow and build and do this kind of thing with each other. And by with each other, I mean specifically me, with your money. Somebody start playing like a Sarah McLachlan song in the background. Another Canadian. If you want to support me, a one-time payment, paypal.me/KevinLeeDad. And I'm going to try and set that up to be a multi-payment. And in the next little while, I'm going to figure out a way. I have a way. Kevin Lee Daughter gave me a way to get everybody $5. You'll get $5 when you give me $5. And we're going to start gearing up for the charity in Kenya, booksandbricks.org. We're going to have a big charity drive live streaming on October 3rd because they can't have their charity dinner this year, and they need the $45,000 to send kids to school in Kenya, which is very, very important. How do you buy the shirt? That's an excellent question. You get it off of Teespring. I'm gonna put the link in right now. Hold on, guys. I can do that. At Random actually got one of the T-shirts. So at Random, send in a picture of you in the T-shirt at some point so it can be displayed. Give me a second here because I can look this up. Teespring, boom. Wow, it popped right up for me. Copy, and here is that. I'm going to paste it in the chat room right now. There you go. There's a link to the T-shirt if you want to support my friend Patrick Bennett. He's a wonderful photographer. Actually, Patrick and I share the fact that I was over at his house on election night. So he had an election night party. Him and Patricia did, and it was not... Honestly, I'll say it was the worst party I've ever been to. It was miserable. But he's still a good guy. So, yeah, and Dr. Howard's talking about creating a haircut fund, $1,000, and we're going to let Kevin Lee Daughter cut my hair. So the more I think about that, the better I think the idea is. Because that's pretty ridiculous. Wait, who is that? That's a character from a movie. Who is this, guys? What does that remind you of? There's a television character that looks like that. Maybe one of the Muppets. Anyway. I put my glasses on after the call to action. I don't know if that's a scoop or not, producer Joanna. Stop using your right arm, Kevin Lee. No, it's okay. It doesn't hurt. It's just got the brace on, so I won't trump it. Okay. Hopefully there's no kids watching right now. There was one more thing I wanted to share with you guys. I'm not going to do it now. And I'm sure Lizzie is already grabbing that and making a gif out of it. Kids, it's been an absolute pleasure. I already told everybody about Patreon. If you want to become a patron, go to Kevin. Oh, wait. If you want to become a patron, go to kevinleefather.com. Thank you. Okay. That's what it is. It is my shake weight. No, it's from Tennis Elbow because I've been playing tennis with Kevin Lee's son and Kevin Lee Daughter just about every day, and I might go play it again. Although the last couple of weeks since my tennis elbow acted up, it's two things. It's Tennis Elbow. This is now. Hold on. This is now a 20-minute goodbye. The world's longest goodbyes. If you know me for anything, it's the world. You're like, hey, you know what? You're telling your friend, hey, hold on. Where's this going to type? Hey, you know what? You should watch Kevin Lee Father. Yeah, he broadcasts 3 or 4 times a day. He does the longest goodbyes. I heard he's a fact checker or something. Like he makes Trump tolerable. No, it's the good. I'm there for the goodbyes. We do this Billy Joel thing that no one cares about. That's what it is. Yeah, we're going to do a Patreon Zoom. We're probably not going to do it in Patreon. We're going to do it on another platform so that people don't have to put Zoom on their computer because there's some questions about the security of Zoom. David, if you're watching, research into that. Find out if there's actually a problem with Zoom being a Chinese asset or whatever. You do fucking care, Lizzie. And that's what I love about each and every one of you individually in a platonic manner. That's about it. There was one other thing I wanted to share with you, but I can't remember it right now. And I'll see you guys again. So I'm going to put up the Billy Joel Madness. You know what? I'm going to do it right now with you, just to stretch out this goodbye a little bit longer. We're not going to do, no, it's not going to be Skype, and it's not going to be Zoom. It's going to be Restream, but I think there's a limit. So I'm trying to get in touch. I think we can do like 10 or 12 at a time in a chat room. I'm going to talk to the people's... hold on, let me save the changes. I'm going to talk to the people's... I'm not even going to talk about that right now. We'll fix it. So it's going to be New York State of Mind against Scenes from an Italian Restaurant. I should have put it up already because it would be up there. I'm Trump. Billy Joel Madness. Who goes... See, it hurts to type. That's the problem. That's what it is. This is Tennis Elbow down here. This is because I worked so hard for you guys. This is repetitive motion, carpal tunnel, something or other, because I spend so much time typing and mousing and trying to make your world a better place. Who's going to the Final Four? New York State of Mind, or who's the other one? Brenda and Eddie was still going steady in the summer of '75. Bum 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 ba 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 ba. What's it called? Scenes from Inside a Restaurant. At the end of July, boo 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 boo. People have said they were crazy. And Eddie, they said you were much too lazy. No, Brenda, they said one of them was lazy. And Eddie could never afford to live that kind of life. And a raven, Brenda and Eddie, goodbye. Whoa. Whoa. Okay, so now that song's in my head. So really, who's the winner? You decide. Okay, Scenes from an Italian Restaurant. I'm copying and pasting this left-handed. By the way, I'm playing tennis left-handed too. And Kevin Lee's son is beating me now with me playing left-handed. But he did try playing me 2 games yesterday left-handed. I won. And that's important, really. I didn't want to cut it. Hold on. This is coming up in a second here. I'm not even going to put the bracket in there. I think that's it. Poll length 1 day. Let's make it 23 hours so that it ends at a better time tomorrow. And who is going to the Final Four? I'll put a question mark. Okay. No, because I'll put the question mark here. There we go. Boop. Okay, the vote is up. Get in there and vote right now. And I will say goodbye, and we'll do the end credits. There, it's tied, 0-0. See? No interest in this thing. I do all these things, and nobody cares. I have garlic pizza sauce. Joanna, 100 milligrams. I just like checking into the chat room every once in a while. This has got to be the most active chat room, which is why you shouldn't share my videos with anybody, because then more people are going to get in a chat room, and it's going to be much more difficult to keep track of this. Oh, thanks, Bev. You care. You're talking about the Billy Joel Madness. Wow, it's much quieter without those on. I'm almost completely out of drink. That was a good session, I think, everybody. I think we've made progress here. We figured out that Joe Biden's gone so far right that we just can't vote for him anymore. Nobody's voted yet. You're probably all waiting for me to say goodbye so that you can go vote. And yeah, that is $1,000 haircut right there. That is $1,000 charity case. Kids, it's been a pleasure. We will see you tomorrow on the live stream.
Thank you so much, Kevin.
that it ends at a better time tomorrow. And who is going to the Final Four?